So it's Doug Parker, Cruise Radio. It's a podcast, a weekly podcast that covers the cruise industry as far as consumer news as well as ship reviews. So have a daily Cruise Radio news brief. It's like a 60-second, 3 things you need to know type thing that's done Monday through Friday as well, all in like podcast form and across like iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora, all the podcast catchers out there.
That's awesome. So what would be, the biggest sort of cruise storyline right now, considering what's going on with, the virus and all?
I would say probably when will they get back in service? They did the voluntary suspension of operations back on March 13th, and then last week they extended that out until May, like a second week of May. So we have to see now if there's another extension or if they will sail again.
They're not sailing, so they're not making money. How can they remain? You told me 900 to 1,100 people are working on these things all the time. With your intel, how are they able to maintain that?
Well, a lot of it is the cash flow they have on hand still, and they're getting a lot of loans and issuing more stock to raise funds. So like Carnival just got, I think, $3 to $5 million or billion rather, with a B, in funding. Royal Caribbean's doing the same thing. They have different funding options as far as like issuing more stock or putting ships up for collateral. Like the first cruise line to put their ship up for collateral was Norwegian Cruise Line. They put Norwegian Epic up, and then other cruise lines have the option to do that if they need to get more funds. But these ships, like for Carnival, their SEC filing last week said that it's costing them $1 million per month per ship to keep the operation going, and they have over 100 ships. So they're doing what they're calling warm layups, or hot layups rather, and that's just keeping the crew on board so they can be ready to go on a dime's notice, because you have to remember that these crew members, a lot of them are from Asia and from Europe, and there's a lot of travel restrictions out there right now, so just keeping the crew on the ship until the service gets started back up again.
You had I was skirting through Twitter, and it's a question we're getting a lot of too, so there's some misinformation out there about, seeing a ton of ships on various, vessel trackers, or just able to, Cape Canaveral, you look offshore and there's, oh my God, there's 3 or 4 cruise ships just right there. And we're getting questions, oh my God, is that a bunch of sick people? Is that just waiting to come in and get everybody else sick? And then you had your kind of verbal smackdown, which was awesome, on Twitter, of the dude who was putting out, basically false stuff, which you showed. What could you tell people out there who might be curious, gosh, why do we have 4 ships in Jacksonville, or however many it is right now? Why are there all these ships just off Miami and off of Port Canaveral?
Yeah, so there are a lot of ships. Like 117 ships out there right now. There's only so much docking space. So, like, for instance, here in Jacksonville, we have 4 cruise ships. We have 3 Norwegian Cruise Line ships, and we have 1 Carnival Cruise Line ship that we have year-round here. And then offshore, again, Port Canaveral only has so much space, so they have a ton of ships going out of there year-round. So does Miami. So does Port Everglades, Fort Lauderdale. So these ships are basically hanging out in Anchorage and then rotating dock space. So there's no passengers on these ships, but they're coming back in for provisions and for fuel and then going back out again.